the ZIL-154. Quite an American-inspired Soviet-era transit bus. A bus for everyday people. But in 1962, a new small bus appeared in the USSR that was not for the people, but for the party. And in a strange twist of events, one of the big three American auto companies wanted to license its manufacture. This is the story of the ZIL-118, the bus that wasn't officially a bus. Hi, this is Jeffrey. Now, as you may know, the Soviets were very intrigued by American-styled buses of the 1940s and 1950s, and I outlined some of this in my ZIL-127 bus video. Now, in the very early 1960s, a very unique and small bus appeared in the Soviet Union that wasn't officially designated as a bus. And in a strange flip-flop of events, an American automobile company wanted to manufacture these buses under license in the United States. It's a very interesting story, so let's get started in learning about the ZIL-118 minibus. It was a bus, but officially, it wasn't a bus. The ZIL-118 Yunost, or Youth in English, was a minibus built by Zavod Imeni Likachova, or ZIL for short. Based on the ZIL-111 limousine, which itself was based on American autos manufactured by Packard, the ZIL-118 Yunost was developed in about 1961. It was available in two versions, the Minibus 118 and the Ambulance 118A. Only 20 were initially built, mainly because of a lack of interest by the government. The main idea was to create a completely new type of multi-purpose passenger car to replace ZIL's limousines, with an elegant exterior and comfortable interior and a more spacious wagon-type body than a limousine, incorporating observation windows and a large sliding sunroof. In early 1960, a youth team, hence the vehicle's name, began to implement this plan on a voluntary basis, and in fact, in semi-underground conditions, and under threat of dismissal, since the car was created in a restricted area of the ZIL factory. Its body was created from scratch, and it represented the latest in design, decoration, and interior trim, and its comfort met with rave reviews from the few who were able to ride in it. It had one door on the right side and one at the rear. The first prototypes were tested on the streets of Moscow in 1962. The ZIL-118 ended up not officially designated as a bus, but as a multi-seat passenger car. It was mainly used to transport less prominent members of delegations and their entourage of the USSR. The ambulance version served as a rapid rescue service vehicle for more distinguished patients. Moreover, after inspecting the Yunost, General Secretary Khrushchev, who was an ardent supporter of the development of public transport in the USSR, with his characteristic directness, said, "This is the people's car." The 118 made quite a favorable impression on him. After such words were spoken by the first person of the state, any opponents of the Yunost fell silent. Hundreds of ZIL-118s were to be built every year, but this plan never materialized. Now, let's take a look at some of the basic specifications of the ZIL-118. Number 1, length is 6.84 meters. Number 2, wheelbase is 3.76 meters. Number 3, width is 2.11 meters. Number 4, height is 2.067 meters. Number 5, passenger capacity was usually 17. Number 6, Empty weight is 3,320 kilograms. Number 7. Engine is the ZIL-130 V8, which was used between 1962 and 1965. The ZIL-111 V8 from 1965 to 1970, and finally the ZIL-508.10 V8 from 1970 onwards. And finally, number 8. The gearbox is a 2-speed automatic borrowed from the ZIL-111 limousine. In the late 1960s, during a business visit to the USSR, Henry Ford II, the oldest grandson of the Ford Motor Company's founder, along with an American delegation, began negotiations of purchasing a license to produce the ZIL-118 under the Ford brand. However, this attempt to bring this vehicle to the U.S. market had failed. An updated vehicle appeared in 1970 in 2 main versions, the ZIL-118K Minibus and the ZIL-118KS Ambulance. This remodeled version was also sometimes called the ZIL-119. Some production models received more modern updates to the body, such as the headlight equipment from the VAZ-2105 line of automobiles. This variant proved a little more popular than the original ZIL-118, being used in larger numbers in governmental agencies. Such vehicles were purchased for the Ministry of Defense, the KGB, as well as the transportation of residents of the In-Tourist Hotel. The minibus was slightly updated in the 1980s, becoming the ZIL-3207. One minibus was built in 1982 as a mobile forensic laboratory for the Moscow Criminal Investigation Department. Production ended in 1994 with the total number built of all ZIL-118 variants and the ZIL-3207 reaching only 86. Eventually, the ZIL-5301 Bull was developed, which replaced the ZIL-3207. Today, several ZIL-118 minibuses exist in museums or are undergoing restoration. And so ended this unique vehicle that was not officially a bus and not really a car, that was built not for the highest of party members, but not for the average Soviet citizen either. So there it is, the story of the ZIL-118 minibus that officially was not actually a bus. Now the question here is, if Ford had been able to mass produce these in the US, would they have been a success? And of course the question is debatable. I think there may have been some limited uses for them, but they probably would not have been manufactured in the millions. Now when I look at this vehicle, it looks like something that could be possibly modified for handicapped accessibility uses. New York City has something called Accessoride, where they use these very small vans to transport handicapped people around. And if this minibus had a wheelchair lift or a ramp, I think there's a possibility of that kind of a use, although I think you may need more headroom inside. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at the ZIL-118 minibus. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.